The first time I heard the sky breathe. I was 7. It was the kind of night that presses down on a village, until silence itself grows heavy. Crickets had stopped chirping, the harmattan wind curled like smoke between the trees, and my mother stood in the middle of our compound, her wrapper loosened at the waist, her head tilted back, as if she were listening to something no one else could hear.
"Go inside, Nena,"
she whispered to me, but her voice was trembling, like the rustle of palm leaves before a storm. I should have obeyed. Children always obeyed their mothers in Umuahia, especially mine, who carried an aura that made even elders pause before speaking. But I stayed, peeking from the wooden doorway, as she stretched her hands upward, toward the stars. And then, it happened. The air thickened. The stars above us flickered, one by one, as though something vast was moving behind them. My mother's wrapper flapped, though there was no wind. And before I could call out, the sky opened. Not like a door, not like a curtain, more like a mouth, dark and endless. It swallowed the glow of the moon. It swallowed the laughter of the palm wine tapper, still returning home on the road. It swallowed my mother. One moment she was standing there, her eyes wide, lips parted in some prayer I will never know. The next, gone. Just gone. No scream, no struggle, just silence. And me, a child, staring at the place where my mother had been, with the night pressing in, until I couldn't tell if I had imagined it all. Years later, people would say she had run away, that my father's temper had driven her into the bush, that she had taken another man, that perhaps the war had broken her spirit, long before the sky ever did. But I know what I saw. The morning after my mother vanished, the village carried on as if nothing had shifted. Cocks crowed, mortar pounded yam, children fetched water, and the old women gathered by the udala tree to trade gossip like kola nuts. But I saw it in their eyes, the way they paused when they saw me. Ekwensu carried her. No, it is Amedioha's wrath. The way silence clung to their throats before their tongues turned to whispers. Or maybe she went mad. Nobody dared look at the sky for too long. My father said nothing. He sat outside our mud house with his machete balanced across his knees, staring at the compound as if she might walk back through the gate, carrying firewood, smiling that soft smile of hers. He drank palm wine until the gourd ran dry. And then, with lips white from silence, he declared,
"Your mother is dead. Forget her."
But how do you forget a woman who dissolved into the heavens? I tried, Herby. I swear I tried. But the nights betrayed me. Every time I closed my eyes, I dreamt of her standing at the edge of a vast abyss, a sky turned inside out, stars dripping like wet cloth, the sound of something enormous breathing beneath it. She would stretch her hand toward me, and just as I reached, the sky would yawn wider, dragging her away. I began to sleep with one eye open, waiting for the night it would come for me too. When I turned 13, things grew stranger. One evening, I was walking back from the stream when I heard a familiar voice. My mother's, calling my name from the canopy of trees above.
"Nena."
The calabash slipped from my hands. The water spilled into the dust. I tilted my head upward. There was nothing but sky. And yet the voice came again, soft but urgent, like a hand tugging at the edge of my soul.
"Nena, don't forget me."
I ran. But the voice followed me home, treading through the wind, calling between the rattling palm fronds. By the time I reached the compound, I was trembling, my wrapper half falling, my heart pounding like Ojin drums at a festival. My father looked up from where he was sharpening his cutlass.
"Why do you shake?"
he asked. I told him. For a moment, just one fleeting second, I thought I saw fear ripple across his eyes. Then he muttered,
"Don't listen.
Them.
She belongs to them now."
Who were they? That night, I could not sleep. The moon was hidden behind clouds. The whole village seemed to sink into itself, weighed down by the thickness of the air. And then, I saw it. From my window, the sky rippled. Yes, rippled, like a river stirred by a giant hand. Stars scattered like frightened birds. And in that trembling, I saw faces. Faces of women. Dozens. Hundreds. Their mouths opening and closing like silent chants. Their eyes hollow. Their hair floating upward as though they were drowning in the heavens. And among them, my mother. Her gaze locked with mine, and her lips formed words without sound. I pressed my face against the window until the wood splintered. Her lips moved again. 3 words.
"Find the door."
The next morning, I knew I could not keep silent. I sought out Mama Yuzo, the oldest woman in our village, whose teeth were stained red from decades of kola nut, whose back was bent like a bow, and whose eyes had seen too much. She listened without interrupting, her fingers tapping against her thigh like a drumbeat. When I finished, she spat on the ground and said, "Who?" I whispered. Her eyes narrowed.
"They have chosen you, the Sky Eaters."
I did not know whether to laugh or to scream. Her voice dropped, low and heavy, as if even the air should not hear.
"Long before our fathers built this village, there were spirits who lived above the firmament. They are not gods. They are not ancestors. They take what pleases them. They do not eat flesh. They are hunger. They eat presence. A person vanishes into them, body and spirit. To them, it is harvest. To us, it looks like disappearance."
And my mother, I shivered.
"She was chosen."
"Why?" Mama Yuzo's face creased, her wrinkled lips trembling.
"Blood,"
she said.
"Old debts, old promises. You are tied to it, child. If you do not find the door your mother spoke of, they will take you too."
That night, I dreamt again. But this time, it wasn't only my mother calling me. It was a chorus. Hundreds of voices, layered on each other, humming like thunder trapped in a cave. They called my name until it stretched, tore, and became something else. Not a Nena. Something older. Something that didn't belong to me at all. When I awoke, my bedsheet was damp with dew. My feet were caked with soil. I was lying outside, beneath the udala tree, staring at a sky that flickered like broken cloth. Something, had carried me there. The next day, I cornered my father. "Papa, what debt? What did you owe the sky?" He dropped his cutlass so fast it clanged against the floor. His hands trembled, his chest heaved, and for the first time in my life I saw him afraid.
You heard the old woman,
he muttered. He stared at me for a long time, then whispered. I nodded.
It did not start with me. It started with her people, your mother's line.
My breath caught. Mama's family.
Yes. Long ago, one of our ancestors stole something that belonged to them, a fragment of their hunger. And when it was hidden, they vowed to take a daughter from every generation until it was returned.
My voice broke. And Mama?
She was the chosen one.
He swallowed hard.
But if the fragment is not found, they will not stop. You will be next.
I couldn't breathe. My ribs felt like a cage too small for my chest. What fragment? But my father only shook his head. I demanded.
Even your mother didn't know. It was lost long before she was born. The only ones who might remember are not human anymore.
His words lodged in me like thorns. Not human anymore. That evening, I found myself walking toward the forbidden forest, the one no child dared to enter, where even hunters avoided setting traps. The trees there bent unnaturally, their branches twisted like hands reaching down to pluck intruders. The silence inside was so thick it felt like cotton in my ears. I don't remember when I began to run, or why, but suddenly I was standing in a clearing, and at the center of it was a door. Yes, a door. Standing alone, with no walls, no frame. Just a tall, carved wooden door, its surface blackened as though it had been scorched by fire. Symbols crawled over it, symbols that shifted when I blinked, as if they were alive. And at the foot of the door lay bones. Human bones. I should have fled. I should have turned back. But instead, I reached for it. The moment my fingers brushed the wood, my head split open with sound. A rushing, howling, groaning sound like all the winds of the earth funneled into my skull. And then, I wasn't in the forest anymore. I was falling upward. Yes, upward. Into the sky. Into that vast, yawning mouth I had seen the night Mama disappeared. Stars streaked past me like sparks. Shadows pressed against my skin, whispering, clawing, tugging. And when I landed, I stood on a plain of endless night. The ground beneath me was not soil but clouds, solid and trembling. Above, a sky within the sky opened and closed like a lung. And scattered across the plain were women. Hundreds. Thousands. They floated like tethered spirits, their eyes vacant, their bodies pale, their voices stitched into that eternal hum. Some wept without sound, others clawed at invisible chains. And among them, my mother. She was not as I remembered her. Her hair floated like black smoke, her eyes were silver, and her skin glowed faintly as though the sky itself was feeding on her. Nena, her voice echoed, not from her lips but from everywhere. Mama. I ran to her, my heart breaking, my arms stretching. But when I tried to touch her, my hand passed through as if she were smoke. You came, she whispered, but you should not have. Tears burned down my cheeks. I had to. I can't live without knowing. I can't live without you. Her face twisted, pain slicing through her features. Listen to me. They do not like visitors. The sky eaters will come. You must find the fragment and close the door, or you will be trapped here forever. Where is it? I begged. Where is the fragment? Her lips trembled. She leaned close, so close her cold breath brushed my ear. It is inside you. And then, they arrived. The air shifted. The hum of the women broke into shrieks. A shadow fell across the plain. From the folds of the sky descended shapes, massive, shifting, formless yet with too many eyes, too many mouths, too many hands. They were not spirits, not gods, not demons. They were hunger-given form. The sky eaters. Their voices spoke as one.
Daughter of the thief.
You should not be here. My mother screamed. The women screamed. The plain of night began to quake. And in that chaos, I realized what she meant. The fragment wasn't an object. It was blood. It was me. I was the dead. The sky eaters circled me, their shapes bending the plain like ripples on water. They had no bodies, yet they had too many. A dozen eyes blinked open at once, mouths dripping starlight, arms stretching like rivers. Daughter of the thief, they roared again. The blood we hunger for. You are the fragment. You are the dead. Step forward. My knees trembled, but something inside me shifted. For the first time since Mama vanished, fear did not root me, anger did. I straightened my back, lifted my chin, and shouted into that endless sky. No, you don't swallow me. I swallow you. The women shrieked louder, their voices becoming a storm. The sky eaters roared, shaking the plain. My mother's eyes widened in terror. Nena, don't. They will consume you. But deep in my chest, something cracked open. A heat surged through my blood. A pulse older than my bones. The fragment. I understood then, it was not just death I carried, it was power. The sky eaters had tied themselves to my bloodline when they made that oath. And binding works both ways. I lifted my hands. The ground beneath me split. Silver light poured out of my veins, spilling across the cloud-like plain. The sky eaters recoiled, their formless bodies twisting as if bound. They lunged, mouths opening wider than horizons. But instead of devouring me, the light dragged them inward. Their screams tore the air. They thrashed. They begged. They cursed my name in voices that sounded like thunder dying. One by one, their massive forms crumpled, shrank, and folded into me. I swallowed them. Every shadow, every mouth, every eye, until the plain was still, until silence returned. When I opened my eyes, the women were no longer tethered. The chains of hunger that bound them dissolved into dust. One by one, they lifted their faces to the sky and began to fade, not in terror this time, but in peace. Their hum softened into a lullaby. Their forms became light. My mother stepped forward, her silver eyes brimming with tears. You freed us, she whispered. I reached for her again, and this time, my hand touched hers. Warm, real. Mama, come back with me, I pleaded. She shook her head slowly. My time has passed. I belong here now, among those who were taken. But you, she cupped my face, her tongue brushing away tears. You carry their end. Do not fear it. Rule it. You carry the sky itself. Her hand slipped from mine. Her body began to fade, glowing like the last ember of firewood before dawn. Mama, I screamed. Her lips curved into that soft smile I remembered. And then, she was gone. I woke up in the forest, lying before the blackened door. But the bones were gone. The symbols had vanished. The door itself cracked, splintered, and fell into ash. Above me, the sky was clear. For the first time since I was 7, it did not breathe. It obeyed me. From that day on, I carried a strange power. When storms gathered, they bent away from my village. When the moon flickered, I could call it back. When thunder cracked, it paused to hear me. And sometimes, in the quietest nights, I swear I hear my mother's voice in the wind, not swallowed anymore, but singing. I had not only survived, I had inherited the hunger. But instead of feeding it, I mastered it. The sky had tried to swallow me. Instead, I swallowed the sky.
A Herby story.